So when it comes to comparing Cincinnati and LA, I mean, the two have opposite goals and characteristics as a city. LA, you are looking to seek fame. A lot of people are moving out to LA to get fame. And in Cincinnati, you're going to be overlooked. And that's just the way it is. That's the way the city is. But it's a place that is amazing for growing your family, for making a strong family team, thinking multi-generationally, where you can kind of escape all of the excesses that come with a fame, self-individualized world that we live in right now. All right, hey guys, welcome back. My name's Eric Sztanyo from Keller Williams Realty and TeamStanyo.com, where we are helping you find your home and strengthen your family. I'm coming to you from the Sztanyo Vanyo today. Usually I'm doing these in the office or off scene, but I've got to go pick up a lockbox today and take it to another house that's being listed. So you guys are along for the ride. If you like this, let me know and we can maybe do more of these van rides. I'm hands-free, I'm mic-free, so we're all safe here. Hey, I was just watching this Joe Rogan interview with Adam, what's his last name? Duritz, I think it is, from the Counting Crows. So if you're at my age, I'm turning 40 this year in a few months here, but you grew up in the 90s, you knew the Casting Crows and Mr. Jones and Long December, awesome music. But I had never really seen an interview with him, and I like watching Joe Rogan. I don't watch all his stuff because 3 hours every few days is a lot, especially when you have 5 kids. But they were having this interview and they were talking about different cities they've lived in, specifically LA, because they were both in LA. But Adam was talking about moving from San Francisco to LA and the difference in the artist culture there that I found really interesting, where when he grew up, San Francisco was more of like starving artists, and it was uncool if you got too popular, basically. And that's what happened with his band, Casting Crows. They like blew up from this kind of alt indie scene, and then they were like on the radio everywhere, and everyone in San Fran kind of got sick of them. But he liked moving to LA at that time because it was a working artist town, is what he called it. Like, yes, everyone is seeking fame and that's kind of all they care about, but everyone at least knows that it's not hidden, and you can celebrate each other's successes as you go. I thought that was a really interesting take from people who have kind of grown up, and then Joe Rogan, kind of talked about it from the comedian standpoint. But then they both moved away and the way Adam was describing was that he got kind of tired of it, because like every celebration was like only a celebration of fame, basically. Like, did you get that meeting with that producer, or did they read your script or your idea or whatever? And not that there wasn't a realness to it, because there is, but I guess that just kind of wore on him.
I was born here. I grew up here around all these same people, and we're all going to do this thing here too. And there's a certain amount to which LA is about, like, it's a bunch of people who all decided they didn't want to do what everyone else in their high school did. Whether it's to be, a poet or a sculptor or a painter or a musician or an actor or a model, but it's still like, I don't want to stay here and just do this thing. I'm going to go over there. Yeah. And I'm going to go like it. And there's a certain pioneer aesthetic about doing that. The problem is if you get there and then it just becomes about famous, and as opposed to, I dig the part of it that is like, I got a dream and I'm willing to go all the way over there to get it and to do it. I loved that. I felt like I had that in common with all those people. But then there's a side of it you're talking about where you lose what you came there for originally, and it just becomes about chasing fame and success as opposed to doing anything for it. And that got really annoying right after the millennium, when a lot of the reality TV stuff started to become bigger and bigger, and suddenly it's just like
fame for fame's sake.
Fame for fame's sake. It's nothing about doing anything, and that was when I started I lost my taste for LA.
And it was a really interesting conversation to me. We've talked a little bit. I did another video recently, you should check it out, where we talked about Cincinnati as a place where your family can grow deep roots, where you can think multi-generationally about your family. And I was just thinking about LA as compared to Cincinnati in that way. Now, we live in a really weird world with social media that I don't think any of us fully understand, where we all are basically, even on this YouTube channel here, and go ahead and click like and subscribe, we're all trying to create our own little mini worlds of fame, right? And it's an amazing tool, an amazing power. You're watching this video that I'm making driving from Northern Kentucky to go get a lockbox on a house. Like, it's incredible, the power of the tool, but it's also, I feel like it's, I don't know, we don't fully know what it's doing to us as a culture. And I do think one of the things it's doing to us is making us even more self-absorbed than we already are, right? And we care about likes, and we care about shares, and we care about followers. And, LA is kind of like the pinnacle of that probably in the States, in terms of the personality of a city where it's about your fame, and it's about your persona, and it's about how big can you get from a follower standpoint, how famous you are. And I was just thinking of comparing that to Cincinnati. And it's like, if you're moving to Cincinnati, you might be relocating here because of a job, you might be moving here because of family, or those are, usually the main reasons people are moving to Cincinnati. But you may actually be trying to find a city in America that's a great place to raise a family, like one of the best cities to raise a family. And a lot of times when people make that search, they start scouring different Midwest cities. And why is that? Well, I mean, there's a few factors. The cost of living here is really low, but the amenities are still really strong. So you've kind of got this big city feel, but you've got it's like a small town feel with big city amenities. And that's why a lot of people like it here. And I'm not saying that people don't want to get famous here. They don't want to get popular, or they don't want to make a name for themselves, or they don't want to grow their business or their company or their network or anything like that. People still have that in them, those who are ambitious. But the point on the Joe Rogan episode that I thought was really interesting that Adam made from Counting Crows was that LA is made up of all these people who left their hometown because they looked around in high school and they're like, I don't want to be like that. I'm not interested in living that life. I want to go make it big. I want to go make a name for myself. And so you've got a whole city of that, which is, just really fascinating to me. And some people make it a slim percentage. And they were talking about a lot of people just, they try really hard and it doesn't work out for them. And eventually Rogan was saying, like, they say that they never really try to get famous. They just ended there, and they're kind of lying to themselves because they can't deal with the failure. That's a tough gig. And that's I get why people would want to do that. I guess the point I'm trying to make in this video, when I compare that city and that personality to Cincinnati, and maybe you're not from LA, you're probably not, but maybe you're from another city that's similar. And every city, I think, has its own personality and its own attributes and its own characteristics. You can't just put one label on a city, right? It's multifaceted, and there's multiple characteristics, but there's maybe larger themes that rise to the top. And one thing I would say about my city here in Cincinnati, and I'm actually in Northern Kentucky right now, which kind of encompasses part of the greater Cincinnati area, and that's where I live, is Northern Kentucky. It's a humble, hardworking town that overall believes in family. It's a place where your family's roots can go deep. I mean, I've made that video, but it's a place where you can raise a family and then you can be around your grandkids. And I get that that's not a goal. The people moving to LA, the thought of their grandkids has never crossed their mind. Like, they're not thinking about grandkids, right? They're thinking about making it big and fame. One thing that happened to me when I was younger, I was going through this Bible study in Genesis, and a friend of mine who was a little bit older than me asked this question that like changed my life. He said, have you ever thought of your great grandson? I was like, what? Forget LA just for a minute. We as a culture in America have a memory of about 80 years with our generations, where we can remember our grandparents probably, but how many of you can name your great grandparents, their names even, which is just nuts. And so this question was, how would you live a life where you are actually thinking about your great grandson and the generations after them? How would you live your life differently? How would you build your family? What would you be going after? What would be the goals that you're trying to achieve as a husband and a father? That's been a question that I've been pursuing for the last 10, 12 years now. And it's changed my life, the way I'm living my life and the goals that I'm going after. So this, guys, if you're watching this, video, thank you for watching. But these are some of the questions that I definitely think about, that I think, I need to make sure I don't get nailed by this FedEx truck. I think Cincinnati is a unique place where if you are thinking about those questions, which is not a big part of the population, I get that. But if you're like, man, I want to build something with my family, and the phrase we use, I borrow this from a friend of mine, Jeremy Pryor. You guys can check out his stuff at familyteams.com. But he says a multi-generational family team on mission. There's a lot in that statement. Multi-generational meaning I'm thinking beyond just my kids. I'm thinking about my grandkids, maybe even my great-grandkids and beyond. A multi-generational family team where it's all about the family. It's less about the individual and more about the family. Team on mission, which is you've got a job to do and you can do it better if you're working together. As opposed to a narrative where a family is all about individuals, and maybe the best case for a scenario is the parents give their kids a great upbringing and then launch them out of the nest and they springboard out to go make it on your own, and you leave the family goodbye, you never come back and you go make a name for yourself. It's a very, very different narrative, right? But it's, it's one that exists, and I'm not trying to say if you're following that narrative, don't try to follow that narrative. What I am trying to say is Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky is a place that if you're seeking another kind of narrative where you're thinking about a multi-generational family team, it's a place where you can get it done. All right, this video went a little longer than I thought it would. I apologize for that. I got a little bit on my family soapbox, which I can have a tendency to do. So sorry for that. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching this. If you check that out, if you are trying to find a city where you can build a strong family and you need to buy a house, because those things come with it, give us a call at Team Sztanyo. I'd love to talk to you about that and finding you the right neighborhood, finding you the right home where you have a vision for not only your kids, but your grandkids and beyond. Let's talk. Love to chat about that with you. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll talk to you later.